never far from best friend and longtime companion Lando Calrissian. Lobot was most noted for his incredibly computer-like brain and the cybernetic implant that wrapped around the back of his head. But how exactly did he receive such a device, and why was it so vital in his day-to-day operations? Well, let's find out. Welcome to the CLXXIX Star Wars Lore Episode 179, The Life of Lobot. Born on Bespin some years before the outbreak of the Clone Wars, Lobot was alive and well to witness the downfall of the Galactic Republic and the rise of the Galactic Empire. However, he wasn't swayed by the nasty rumours encircling the new power, just the opposite. You see, Lobot was hired by the Empire to run battlefield calculations, and even allowed Imperial scientists to fit him with a brain implant to better do so. The cyborg construct, while perfect for increased productivity, made him more or less a walking computer devoid of personality. Yet he still managed to find love and friendship in the form of bounty hunter Chanith Cha and smuggler Lando Calrissian respectively. The pairing of a gambler and an odds calculating cyborg was incredibly incompatible to say the least, but their loyalty to one another was strong enough to draw Lobot away from Imperial service and even the loving arms of Cha. One of their first assignments working together came sometime after the Battle of Yavin, when both men found themselves in a rather large sum of debt to crime boss Papa Torin. To make amends, Lando was tasked with stealing a valuable object from Moff Saria. However, against 1 in 10,000 odds, and so to thwart any chance of a pursuit, Calrissian manipulated the Imperial governor into handing over the trinket. The unorthodox plan worked to perfection, although their payment for such was anything but. Torin essentially bullied the pair into an unfair deal, meaning that only a tenth of their debt was officially paid off. Forced to seek credits once more, Lobot and Lando spearheaded a tricky infiltration attempt on a Cinar Systems orbital shipyard. From there, they hijacked an Imperial pleasure craft, believing it to house a collection of rare and invaluable art. Much to Lobot's dismay, however, their escape was met with the emergence of 3 Star Destroyers. Yet Lando wasn't as concerned. In fact, the Imperial presence only bolstered his belief in the importance of the craft, and he knew just the trick to escape. Using the tractor beams of the enemy against them, Calrissian piloted the yacht in between 2 of the Star Destroyers. He then sped away as both crafts irreversibly locked onto one another for a gruesome and fiery end. Having fled to the safety of hyperspace, both men began searching the vessel for valuable goods. More specifically, Lobot used his implant to open the yacht's heavily secured central chamber. Inside lay 2 priceless works by the legendary Sith sculptor Lord Momin. However, the room also housed 2 hidden Imperial guards, one of which impaled Lobot through the chest with their staff. The cyborg was left semi-conscious and fighting against his implant for control of his body as a result. But his much needed time inside a Bacta tank was cut short by a triggering of the vessel's self-destruct sequence. Thankfully, the 2 managed to reach an escape pod in time to jettison away as the vessel became engulfed in flames. All in a day's work. After paying off their debts and making a full recovery, Lobot and his smuggling companion eventually returned to Bespin. Later, Lando was appointed to be the Baron Administrator of Cloud City, meaning Lobot became a second in command. This awarded him the responsibility of managing day-to-day affairs, as well as serving as the city's computer liaison officer. Unfortunately, he and his companion turned overseer were left with a rather difficult choice in 3 ABY. On one hand, the Empire had strong-armed him into handing over longtime friend Han Solo and 4 of his crew. On the other, they were desperate not to sit idly by while their comrades faced cruel subjugation, the latter of which got the best of the Baron Administrator and his subordinate, to the point where they began a revolt. Code Force 7 was issued shortly thereafter, allowing for Lando and the rebels' escape, all while Lobot and the Bespin Wing Guard held stormtroopers at gunpoint in the city's security tower. In the aftermath of Lando's coup, Cloud City and Bespin fell under Imperial rule. The reign, however, was cut short less than a year later, following the crucial Rebel Alliance victory at the Battle of Endor, and this was in no small part to Lobot, for he relayed multiple messages through the planet's blockade and even hired pirates to poke holes in the Imperial defense systems. The liberation of Bespin marked the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history, and who was to say what lay ahead for the recently promoted Calrissian and his cybernetic sidekick. Now it's time for this week's question. Who is your favourite minor character in Star Wars? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to vote for next week's episode by participating in the card poll on screen now. Also, to have your say in future lore videos, head on over to CLXXIX.com and get voting. If you learned something new from today's video, be sure to leave a like. And for weekly Star Wars lore content, press that subscribe button and notification bell to keep it locked here to the CLXXIX.